Today, I have with me C'jon Armstead, and he is an associate with CBRE Capital Markets in South Florida. I was really excited to have him on the show after Fly Jamerson from Mobile Media Marketing had connected us. It's always nice to talk to someone else in my home state, and I've also been just really blown away by his social media and its messaging about discipline, consistency, and all of those things. So whether in your commercial real estate or business, I know that you'll probably gain something out of this today. And welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so excited to just be here with you. And the same, whenever Fly was telling me, you gotta be Amy. I was like, all right, I will. And so I remember just reaching out to you and we were talking probably for at least 30 minutes to the calls. And we're like, we should get on the podcast. So
Yeah, I think that's actually how it started first was like, "Hey, let's meet each other." And then I heard a bit about how you got into commercial real estate, your journey, and then just how you do things, which has led to you being successful. I'm like, hello, I have a podcast.
well, here we are.
Here we are. Awesome. So, to kind of start things off, let's go backwards and then forwards. And so now you've been in commercial real estate for some time. What do you notice are some traits and some different habits and disciplines that you find are really necessary to excel at the level that you are?
That's a great question. One of the hardest things to do is not the word, it's the consistency. I can't tell you how many times I will wake up in the morning and just feel the dread of like, oh man, I got to make some cold calls today, or I've got to get back in touch with that owner that I promised I'd get something to them with regards to an offer or a BOD or whatever. And I think it's the fact that our business is so personal and relationship driven, and it takes energy and it takes emotional intelligence to be able to do our jobs, which so well, having to have dealt with so many different, not only municipalities but also private owners and sellers and all of that.
But how has the Apple screening impacted you?
Oh, it's impacted us a lot. Probably not the worst thing that Apple did that. I think people are getting really upset with the amount of calls that we're getting in general. And I also think that it's going to instead of us looking at it as an impediment to our business, I think we look at it as a amplifier. We're going to weed out the guys who are only just calling to see if someone wants to sell. The guys who don't know, who have not driven every building in that market, who haven't tried to build any rapport with an owner or provide any type of value. So it's
Mhm.
going to weed out the really, fly by night guys. But what it's forced, and I was already kind of using this as part of my business, but it's forcing us to be more cycle the touch points. It can't just be cold calls. It can't just be leave voicemails. Uh, text. Send someone a text. It does not matter. If they have it's screening.
Of
When you're
this
calling,
call. Yeah, it'll still
yeah,
work.
you can text them. I'll say, hey, I'll say, hey, it's C John. I tried you a couple times. Um, we're working on an industrial deal. I wanted to share it with you. Some of them will respond, some of them won't. Or, hey, it's C John. We appreciate your buildings. Wanted to share a property that's not too far away.
Yep.
Uh, and sometimes they'll call. Or someone, they will text back. What's the deal? Versus me leaving voicemail to voicemail to voicemail to voicemail, which is still important. I think you should still leave a bunch of voicemails.
Mhm.
Um, but then if you have their email, if they're, professional investor and it's readily available, like, hey, just tried you, sent you a text, um, really want to share these deals that we're working on with you, or just want to share, I want to share a market report that covers everything you want to know with regards to what's happening with the industrial market where you own. And so and then I really want to get into this, but I haven't done mailers.
a lot of people ask me, why do I do all the things that I do? Well, I come back stronger and better. When I have conversations with people like you, like, it motivates me to keep going.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you motivate me. That's why I originally reached out. And I think that it's a that's a beautiful part about the commercial real estate business is as competitive as it is. And I think most people who are in the business were competitive to begin with, are very competitive people, maybe have been in sports or whatnot in the past. But I feel like there's more of a respect and camaraderie than it is. I feel like you're taking what's mine. All know how hard it is to one, break into this business, but two, last. And when I see friends who are closing huge deals or, hey, I actually talked to that guy and I couldn't get the sell. That's awesome. Like, I'm glad you did it. I think there's a lot of respect. And, when I look at someone like you who's been in the business for well over a decade, like I aspire to look back when I'm 16 years in the business and the amount of relationships that I probably would have built and people who are still doing it and still grinding to this day. And not to say that commercial real estate is a never ending grind and you're never happy, you're never celebrating. I think that very similar to a sports career where you've got a hard season where you're full in, you're all in and you're grinding. And then you have the off season where you're not sitting around doing nothing. The top performers are still performing, but probably at a different level. And for
Right.
us, it's more like maybe it's during the summer, getting closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas where people are starting to really slow down. And
Yep.
if you don't have a deal under contract, it's not closing anyways right now. So
Yep.
I would say, irregardless, it's great to have the people that you meet in this industry are just amazing. And to your point, you're constantly learning from others, and you should. I love talking to people all over. When people reach out to me on LinkedIn, whether it's an investor or another broker or someone who's kind of like what they call center of influence, a lawyer or someone who's in real estate, I always open up the opportunity to connect because one, you've got to have dialogue. It can't just be social media. You got to meet people. You got to talk to them over the phone. You got to build that rapport. And I think that's why you and I connected so well is because we connected over the phone and more than me just shooting a DM. And well, this is the performance mindset podcast. And I would say I was thinking about this because I'm also a runner, ran a marathon, a couple half marathons, and I'm preparing for another half marathon in 2 weeks. And I was running this morning. And one of the things that I was thinking about was I feel like when I hit my goal in running with the race time that I'm looking for, I know this about myself. I'm going to want another goal. And it almost feels like you're never satisfied. And I realized that's not necessarily true. I find so much joy in pursuing something. I find so much joy in trying to get better that it's easy to get trapped with only pursuing something for the goal, the race time, or hitting this much money in the bank account, or closing this many deals, or whatever it is that we have as goals. But sometimes we feel like, oh, we've got to quiet down that voice and we've got to be less ambitious. And I would say the opposite is true. I think that we should always be looking for something that's going to stretch us to become better. And I'm glad that I woke up this morning and I ran those many miles and I'm shooting for this goal. And I know eventually, even if it takes 5 years, I'm going to hit that goal time and I'm going to look and it's going to be a new goal time because I'm a better dad. Going back to what you said, Amy, about being accountable. I'm a better dad when I'm trying to show up for something every day and accomplish something. I'm a better husband. I'm a better person. And quite frankly, I think our life at the end of it all, it's not about what we accomplished necessarily. I think that's important to us, but we want to know, did I try with everything that I have to do something? And I think if we did, there's going to be a lot more joy at the end because there's a lot of people that live with a lot of regret. And even this journey with commercial real estate, like I said, I took a leap of faith, didn't know what I was getting into. And I'm glad I did because it's only made me a better person going through this process. And I just hope that everyone who listens to this podcast knows that there's nothing wrong with you if you're just super ambitious and you constantly are looking for something else. I think it's just channeling that and not making about the end goal, but make it about you constantly want to be on some type of journey. If you're stagnant and just sitting around and complacent, that's when we start to get in trouble.